Good morning. It is Sunday, October 29th, around 8 o'clock a.m. or so. And I just want to share a quick thought with you from Matthew chapter 10 as I'm reading through my devotions here this morning. And some of this from yesterday as well, actually. How important it is that we use what God's given us for His glory. Chapter 10, verse 1, it goes through a list here of things that Jesus gave his 12 disciples specifically for a task. Now, God has given each of us different abilities. We're not going to go out and heal the sick, raise the dead, and cast out demons. But we all have been given certain things by God, and we are to use those for Him. If the disciples had used these abilities for selfish gain or for filthy lucre or whatever you want to call it, that would have been an abuse of what God had given them. But it says here in chapter 10, verses 6, 7, and 8, it says, "But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and as ye go, first preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand." And that is such a great message. There's an urgency to it. There's hope in it. There, in that day, it was a revolution to it. It would not be a popular message to preach. In fact, later in the chapter, it says, "And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved." And it was something that was necessary, and it was a calling that God had given them. There was also, in verse 8, it talks about using their gifts. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely give. So I just want to challenge you and encourage you. Use what God's given you for His glory. Don't waste it on selfish gain. Don't waste it on comfort. Don't waste it on luxury, whatever. Use it for Him, and definitely don't waste it by not using it at all. God has given each and every one of us a plan and a purpose. It's not for us to know what that is. The disciples didn't know what was going to happen when they went from city to city. In the next section here, it tells them, if they do this in the city, then you do that. If they do that in the city, then you do this. And He's talking about giving of themselves to these people. But for you and I, it's the same thing. We are supposed to give what God's given us back and for His glory to those around us. And one last thought I did want to share with you here about hospitality. If the disciples had come to our house, as it describes here, whatsoever city or town ye shall enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and there abide till ye go thence. Would you be found worthy? Would my household be found worthy of Jesus' disciples? It's a challenging thought. Do we have things in our house, in our life, in our little environment that are against God? Or do we have faith in God? Are we obeying God? And would we be found worthy? And in this case, receive the peace that the disciples were bringing. I hope that you'll consider these thoughts, that you'll be challenged to use what God's given you, whether it be abilities or possessions or house or whatever, all used for His glory.